Hey, Jay Shuler here. Welcome back to the Everybody Hates Shu Podcast, episode 206, Homophobia and Hip Hop. Homophobia in hip hop has always been present within the community. I won't mention celebrities who are rumored to be gay. That's rumors, and that's also their business. But hip hop has been kind to some acts such as Young M.A., Frank Ocean, and Lil Nas X for the most part. But that's a very small number. For every LGBTQ+ artist, there's a rapper waiting in the wings with disparaging remarks. Like DaBaby a couple years ago in his HIV comment.
You didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. Put a cell phone like that up. Fellas, if you ain't sucking nigga dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone like that.
Let's be real about this shit.
Yeah, keep it fucking real.
Some of y'all niggas suspect as a motherfucker. Let's be real.
Or Lil Boosie.
Say he wanted to perform naked for charity. They don't tell him nothing. They should be picking sides, man. You don't tell this little faggot ass nothing. Nigga, they got kids to watch that shit. Go get fucked by the other rappers in the game who like booty. Gay ass rappers. Trying to fuck with DaBaby on that, nigga.
There's such a strong response from the hip-hop community to the gay community, even in conversation. If you even recall the Mr. C saga at Hot 97 when he was caught soliciting trans prostitutes. In that interview with Ebro wanted him to declare his straightness or queerness.
Because to go try to get a prostitute and it ends up being a dude, it looks like a dude, fam. Because this is the only thing I care about. The only thing I care about, see, there's two things I care about. Two. One, Mr. C, if you are gay or that's your preference, you don't need to hide. You're our family member, and we're here to support you. Mr. C is saying he is not gay. And when asked, have you ever engaged in homosexual activity, you say no.
For some, it's not that simple. That's why someone like Tyler, the Creator, is wonderful for the culture. He pushes those boundaries in such an artistic way. Just watch his Funk Flex freestyle.
Listen, Flex, we just met, but I know it don't seem like R. Kelly wet dreams. I always keep 16s, nigga. Me and Flex looking in the index for buff net niggas just for some hot butt sex.
The whole pause culture derived from hip-hop. You know, where you say something that can be taken as gay, whatever that means, and you say pause. Here's an example of Nori on the Joe Budden podcast.
Pat yourself on the back, and when I get up, I'm going to pat you on the back as well. Pause. If it's a pause needed.
That's a pause. Now, T.I. got one. Y'all want to bring up some guns.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's nasty. Don't do that. Don't do
Pod
that.
Wars. No one's safe.
No, don't do that.
No, I loved it. Yeah, that was bad. What'd he say?
The whole concept is baffling because you would have to have gay thoughts in order to think, I should say pause, right? I think it says more about the individual, especially in a culture that's all about celebrating male relationships while putting women down most of the time. How many times have you heard, I'll slide for my bros in a song? I'll die for my bros in a song. Have bitches get money in a song. There's a bit of homoeroticism sprinkled all over hip-hop. So I wonder where the hate comes from. Is it religion? That always seems to be the common denominator. People haven't prayed or been to church in years, but suddenly when it comes to the LGBTQ community, God's in the mix. So what's the real issue? Why is this so unnatural for people? Why are people so bothered? What part of our belief system is so bothered by people living freely as themselves? I think it's the same thing that makes people racist. A hate that's embedded in your DNA and you don't even know why. Neither do you care to explore why or what has brought you to this ideology today. For me, personally, I just can't fathom discriminating against anyone after the discrimination my ancestors endured and the traces of it that still remain today. How dare we put that on anyone else? But ignorance is ignorance and ignorance is bliss. But a lot of these guys seem like they're hurt and their responses seem to be triggered responses. Sexual abuse is way more common than we think, especially when there's an unspoken queerness in a lot of male-related activities, especially sports. The LGBTQ community needs more allies, especially in this political climate, which brings me to the trans community. Earlier I mentioned Mr. C, who was caught soliciting trans prostitutes. Some of the remarks from Charlemagne the God during this whole ordeal were downright offensive, especially with misgendering people.
Calvin, come out the closet.
Live your truth so nobody can use your truth against you, especially the law, because the jig is up. The law is on you, sis. You hot. You are a serial purchaser of penis, and the law knows it.
He has a history of asking guests inappropriate questions already, so especially women.
No disrespect, but I didn't know you had ass. I sniffed your chair last time you was
You're
here.
a sick person.
I know. I did. I couldn't help it. You
Just left. Never fails.
But we must understand the identity politics, especially when we play them oh so well here in America. I understand the need to fight for your identity. They don't even want to teach critical race theory in African American history here in the States. I get it, but don't alienate your allies blinded by pride. Trans women are women. They are trans women. No one's taking that away from you. But to remove the trans is to say you are identical to women who are born women, and that's just not true physically or biologically. That doesn't make you less than. But there's things that women can do that trans women cannot do or experience, like giving birth, naturally menstruating, and that's perfectly okay because you're still a trans woman. You can't want people to respect your identity, then trample over others. When we do that, we aren't making progress. We're actually going around in circles. There's an uproar about the Hogwarts game because J.K. Rowling called out an interviewer who said people who bleed, and she declared she's a woman who bleeds. She's claiming her identity. Is that wrong? Is that not truth? Her truth doesn't invalidate your truth. Why should you invalidate hers? It's hypocritical. We respect that you're trans, that you're non-binary, but with that, you can't respect that women still want to be identified as women? At that point, you're no better than the white supremacy that oppresses us all. It's the fictional belief that a group of people reclaiming their identity and position in the society makes the other group's existence less important, less significant without even entertaining what the other side of the coin may look like. If your fear is that by J.K. Rowling saying women bleed, she's saying that trans women aren't women, that has nothing to do with her and everything to do with the personal trauma you have experienced by our society, which is governed by our laws and lawmakers who have made you feel like you have to fight to be seen. But J.K. Rowling never said trans women weren't women. She said you simply can't ignore sex, which we obviously don't because it means everything to trans women to be identified as women. But until trans women can give birth and menstruate naturally, we have to be able to tell the difference. That's why it's called the trans community, a wonderful, thriving community, and there's nothing you should be ashamed about. It's the same way Dave Chappelle kept bringing up the trans comedian who happened to be his friend in those controversial Netflix comedy specials. He talked about how she was bullied by her own community, the trans community, for defending him until she took her own life. But the community didn't want to talk about that. Dave being hateful is a better narrative than a real conversation because it keeps us divided and sells stories. To be honest, his specials made me ask more questions, made me want to get more educated on the topic. It didn't make me hate the trans community, but that's a better narrative. They are huge allies for the trans community in reality. J.K. Rowling and Dave Chappelle have platforms that can push the conversation forward and are actually willing to, but they're vilified. And stars that come out and say things just so they aren't canceled aren't helping either. Like Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter himself, who said in response to the controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling that transgender women are women, and any statement to the contrary erases the identity and dignity of transgender people and goes against all advice given by professional healthcare associations who have far more expertise on the subject matter than either Joe Rowling or I, because he felt he needed to say something to Harry Potter fans specifically. A white man telling us who and what women are, speaking in absolutes. So is it okay to erase the identity of women who are born women? Is it healthy to pretend that trans women can't give birth or menstruate naturally? I'm not a health professional, so you would have to tell me in the comments. What is the real issue? Because I want to learn. I want to make sure I'm being inclusive. There's women and then there's trans women. Both are women with special circumstances. Acknowledging the truth makes me anti-trans? I guess it's the same way teaching the truth about the black experience in America with critical race theory should be prohibited because somehow the truth about the black experience in America is anti-white Americans. Do not let these people make you feel less than because we put trans in front of women. That's your community and you shouldn't be ashamed. You're still a woman, sis, but we have to be able to identify you correctly because there is a difference. Maybe not spiritually, but biologically, it is. And anyone who wants to tell you differently doesn't have your best intentions at heart. This reminds me of a conversation I was having with a friend about men who are attracted to trans women. Right away, my friend said, this type of man is gay. How do I translate that? Well, first of all, he doesn't see trans women as women. How can I deduct that? Because he says a man attracted to a trans woman is gay, and gay in our society means you're attracted to the same sex. Obviously, I disagreed. I asked him to meet this community where they're at. Put yourself in their shoes, or pumps, if you can. This man who is attracted to trans women is not attracted to men. He's attracted to a particular type of woman. You can be inappropriate and get into human parts. It doesn't matter. This man is attracted to a trans woman who identifies as a woman who he sees as a woman. You put a photo of the Kita Dragon up, he wants her. You put up a photo of Brad Pitt, it's a hard pass for him, simple. We obviously left this conversation with him still believing the man attracted to the trans woman is gay, and we agreed to disagree. But maybe this conversation isn't meant for a person with that mindset, but maybe it actually is. It's funny the weight titles hold in our society. We work our whole lives for them, we'll fight and die for them, all the while never truly understanding what they really mean. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, alright? That's the end of our episode today. I'll check y'all later. Peace.